It's not for sissies, but it just might cure what ails you. Hey, it's Erica and Steve with the co-founder of Puget Sound Plungers, Renate Rain. Welcome to the show. How did you become a plunger?
So I went in for 1 minute, not knowing I could go for longer, timed it and ran out afterwards with a person that I met on Instagram. And we were actually just trying to see if we could build up our tolerance for a New Year's type challenge. That was the only reason.
Now, how long do you stay in on one of those challenges?
The challenge we were going for was 30 minutes on New Year's Day, which we wound up not even doing. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm cold just thinking about it.
Yeah. It's a good kind of cold, though.
Yeah, what does that mean? What is a good kind of cold? I want to hear about this.
So what I learned, what happened after that first plunge, though, was that I had relief from chronic pain that I've had for more than 10 years. So I wanted to go back, and I wanted to stay longer because if little is good and more is better, right?
Yes.
Isn't that the way of the world? So I quickly was able to go 3 minutes and then 5 minutes, and then now my sweet spot is about 12 minutes. My daughter came, and then I started telling friends, and then I just looked at the friend I met on Instagram one day and said, I'm going to start an Instagram page because, I feel like more people, need to know about this.
Yeah.
Because other benefits started stacking up. So I did. And that's just kind of what's happened.
Wow.
But it takes about 30 to 55 seconds in the cold. I don't talk about this a lot, but cortisol, stress hormone, hits at first. And you want to get out. I mean, fight or flight kicks in and you get the stress that you want to get out. But if you can stick that out for that first minute, dopamine and norepinephrine hit. And those are called happiness hormones or bliss hormones. So it suddenly becomes easier. And you can actually watch my group out there and see the quiet and the little bit of concentrating that's going on that first little bit. And then it changes. Everything changes. People start chatting and they're laughing. And the number one thing that people say when they leave and they're surprised is that they had fun.
Wow.
Because they expected other things, but they did not expect to have fun.
So on the other side of it, how do you know when it's time to get out? Even when when you've gotten used to it, you say now 12 minutes for you. What's the sign that it's okay, this is enough for today?
Well, we really work on listening to your body, which most of us don't really know how to do. So if you start shivering, I'm going to ask you to consider getting out. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the shiver response is a good thing for your body. However, it's uncomfortable when you get out. It's a sign that maybe it's too long. You definitely want to build up because there's benefits for staying up to 40 minutes. I mean, if you're going for weight loss, you want to lower your core body temperature so that your body has to work hard to heat you back up afterwards, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm not going to allow someone to, not that I have that much power, but I'm really going to discourage anyone from staying in there that long their first time. It doesn't take very long to acclimate. I originally thought I would be able to add 30 seconds a week, but instead I went from 1 minute to 3 minutes to 5 minutes. And first timers now come and usually stay between 4 and 8, 10 minutes for the very first time.
Okay.
And there's that power of the community and me telling them they can because I didn't know I could and explaining to them how to do that with just breathing deeply and being calm and mindful. I'm sure you've seen polar plunges where people are charging in.
Yes.
So they're all hyped up. They can't stay in. You know what I mean? The energy is one of get out. It's not one of I'm going to surrender to the cold and teach my body. And this is a practice. You're teaching yourself that you can breathe through uncomfortable situations and that will carry forward.
How do you get warm afterward?
Ideally, you let your body do that, right? You give it a job, and that's how your immune system is boosted. If for some reason I can't because either it's taking too long or I have something else to do, then I can take a hot shower. But you have to be careful. You won't feel how hot the water is.
Oh.
Your nerve endings, you kind of have a blunted pain response. And that's also with the water. So, the dangers are there. You don't want to jump straight into, a hot bath, scalding hot water. The beauty of being at the sound is no one can do that. They have to try some.
You do jump all the way in the water, though. You don't, stick a toe in and then, that whole thing.
So no one has refused to go once they show up. So that could happen someday, I guess. And I certainly don't make anyone do anything they don't want to do. They come because they want to try it, right? I do a little talk about how we go in, and we go in very calmly and mindfully. So we walk in to waist high or so. Some people don't know how to swim. And then we drop down, trying to get your collarbone in the water. It kind of goes against what they believe, but it's more torturous to stand half in and half out. So getting your whole body immersed. If you think about the inflammation that you're decreasing, I'm sure you've had rings on your hands and gotten cold when your rings almost slide off.
Yeah. Okay,
imagine your whole body, the inflammation that you have just being gone. This is the only healing modality I know of that has instant, first time, one time results. And it's passive. You walk out, you sit down, basically, and then you have results.
Renate, that is just fascinating. Do you know someone whose life has really been changed by plunging?
I do. We have a member, and I did ask if I could use her name. Her name is Taylor. She is a breast cancer survivor. A year after surviving breast cancer, she needed to have a total hysterectomy and be put into surgical menopause, and was only 32 years old. And that was just in 2021. She cannot take hormone replacement therapy because of a blood clotting disorder. She was having hot flashes that she said were horrific. That's the word she used. She was having horrific hot flashes, and she was keeping her house very cold, I think 60 or 58 degrees. That I can't be sure of. But her family was pretty miserable from that. So she was having all of menopause, at 32 years old. She's plunged 5 weeks now. She started seeing the results on her second plunge. She's now turning the heat up in her house. Her family is pretty happy. And she said on a side note, she has carpal tunnel that has not flared up once in these past 5 weeks. So she's had, menopause. It does help with menopause. I have those issues, but hers were very dramatic because of the surgical menopause, She said it's definitely worth a few minutes of discomfort to have the rest of her week, because she goes once a week, the rest of her week be so much more manageable.
I am so happy for Taylor. That's wonderful.
Are there any health conditions that would make somebody not a good candidate to do this?
So there are some that are questionable, but heart conditions, it's actually good for your heart in many ways. But if you have a pacemaker, absolutely not. Do not get in the water. If you have any other heart conditions, it would be something you would for sure want to talk to your doctor about. And of course, if you have any health conditions at all, you'd want to talk to your doctor. But the main one is definitely heart conditions and a pacemaker for sure. You don't want to do that.
Oh.
And we don't jump in. We don't do that shock. Some of us dunk at the end of the plunge, our head underwater. But for the most part, we're standing in the water. Pretty serene experience.
And fun. We like that.
Yes, it is fun. That is the number one surprise. And the community is so welcoming. I mean, inclusive. There's nothing like it. You're meeting strangers for sure, but you're in a very vulnerable position. You're in your swimming suit.
Sure.
You're cold before you get in your cold, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, the water is actually warmer than the air right now. So we're
crazy.
undressed and we're in our swimming suits and we're all looking at each other going, let's go. And everyone looks out for everyone. Yeah, everyone looks out for everyone in the water.
The power of community. Just love it. Renate Rain, co-founder of the Puget Sound Plungers. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.